In your book on page 243, there are I think there are 10 examples that really go into recursion and different ones. So we're going to go through a couple of them together, but I want you to go through the ones we don't cover just to make sure that you're following this and that you understand, because recursion can get kind of tricky. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to do example 1. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do public static, and we're going to call this lesson 39 EX1. Okay, I'm going to organize this. So in this example, we're going to add numbers that are 2 apart. The whole point with going through these examples is to start to recognize patterns. Recursion is all about patterns. The better you get at finding those patterns, the better recursion you will be. So in our public, we want to system.out.println. We want to name our new method. Since we're adding numbers, I'm going to call this adder. And let's send it number 7. So it's going to add 7 to 5, and then to 3, and then to 1, and then be done. So now let's create our adder method. So come down to public static, and it's return an integer. We're going to take in int n. Okay, so let's create our if. And I'm not going to use brackets because I'm only going to have them be 1 line each. Remember, for if-else statements, if they are only 1 line, you don't have to have brackets. So for my else, we're going to return n plus, and then we're going to call in our adder and do n minus 2. Okay, my if, and we're going to look at this. So if each time it runs, it's going to subtract by 2. So it's going to go 7, 5, 3, 1, negative 1. So we want to make sure it doesn't hit that negative 1. So if n becomes less than or equal to 0, we'll do something. So in this example, it adds 30. So we're going to say return 30. So this way, what's going to happen, it's going to send 7. So it's going to return 7 plus 5. And it's going to have 5 in here. So that's going to be 5 plus 3. Then it's going to return 3. Then it's going to be 3 plus 1. Then it's going to be negative 1. So now it's going to return 30. So it should give us 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 30. So it should be 46. And it is. That was example 1. We're now going to look at example 5. So look in your book at example 5. This is the code we're going to create and understand and talk through. So let's create another new class. Call it lesson 39, example 5. Okay, get it all set up. And I'm going to again copy paste my header. Except we're going to change what this does. So let's take a look at the program and figure out what exactly it's doing. So what it's doing is we're sending it 9, and so we get 9, 4, 2, 1. So what it's really doing is it's doing integer arithmetic. So we dividing by 2 integer arithmetic. So we forgot our public static, so I'm just going to go copy that from my other program and paste it right in there. And in here, all we're going to do is do system.out.println, and we're going to print Homer 9. Okay, then we're going to create our Homer method. So we'll do public static void Homer. We're going to take in an integer. Okay, and we're going to create our if and our else. So for my else, I'm going to create some brackets in there. And the first thing I'm going to do is divide Homer by 2, or divide n by 2. Then I'm going to print my quotes of just a comma plus the number. So that does need to be in brackets. And then if n is less than or equal to 1, we're going to come in here and do system.out.print n. Okay, so this looks a little weird, and this isn't going to print anything. So if you look at this, this isn't actually going to print anything because we're not returning anything. This is a void method. So what we need to do instead is take out this print. We're already printing down here in our void method. We don't need to print twice. We just need to send it over 9. So that's all we need to do. So what this does is we send it a 9. It's not 1, so it divides it by 2, and then it decides to print the 9, comma, and then a 9. Then it goes back up, and now it's no longer 9, it's 4. So we're sending it 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now it's 1, it's going to print 1. You would think that this would print out 9, 4, 2, 1. But because the if is first, what it does is it hits this last number, and then it prints it in reverse order. So when you hit run, it prints 1, 2, 4, 9 instead of 9, 4, 2, 1. So in your book, I want you to go through the other examples and try to make sense of them. We are actually going to do example 7 in the last video for this, which is the Fibonacci sequence. But I want you to go through 1 through 6 and make sure that they make sense to you. You're now ready to move on to the third video for recursion.